Okay, today let's learn chapter 16, Growth of Regional Culture, the first part from your social science history. Well, culture, by culture we mean the customs, civilization and achievements of a particular time or people. Okay, so I'm sure you have got the idea of a culture. Okay, that means it includes languages they speak, their distinctive food habits, poetry, music, dance, even painting. Okay, it is all a part of a culture. So culture of a people or culture of a place. So in this lesson, we're going to study all about this culture, which includes regional languages and literature, growth of regional languages and literature, growth of regional dance forms, regional music, paintings, and we are going to have later on we're going to have a, a case study in Bengal. So today let us try to cover this growth of regional languages and literature. Okay, so before we go into the details of this very lesson, let us learn some of the words, important words of this very lesson. First one is theme, an idea that recurs, a work of art or literature. Philosophy, attitude that acts as a guiding principle for behavior. Bilingual, speaking two languages fluently. Natya Shastra, one of the fundamental treatises on Indian drama and aesthetics. Okay, patron is a person who gives financial or other supports to a person as well as to an organization. Okay, lyrics, words that make up of words that make up a song, usually consisting of verses and choruses. So every song have their lyrics, words. Okay, the first one is growth of regional languages and literature. Sanskrit. Sanskrit was or is the language of literature in North India. Okay, from the earliest time of history in India. Okay, most of the ancient Indian literature, Vedic literature, they were written in Sanskrit language. So even during the medieval period, especially the early medieval period, the Sanskrit, it was a very important language, especially in North India. Okay, so let us say in North India, Somadev was the guy who wrote the Katha Sarit Sagar. It was a literary work of Somadev. Another guy is Kalhana wrote Raja Tarangini. Raja Tarangini was a history of Kashmir. Okay, even Jayadeva, he wrote Git Govinda as a Sanskrit literature. Okay, Chan Bardai. Chan Bardai, he used the earliest form of this Hindi. Okay, he wrote Prithviraj Raso. Prithviraj Raso was a work of this Chan Bardai in which he expressed the heroic deeds of this Prithviraj Chauhan. I think we have already learned something about Prithviraj Chauhan, right? Let's go to another one. Shankara. Shankara, he wrote philosophical commentaries in this Sanskrit language. Okay, Bihana, he also wrote Vikramankadeva Charita. Actually, it was a biography of the Chalukya king Vikramaditya the Sixth. Okay, in South India. Let's go to the next one. The next important language was during the medieval period was uh, Persian. Okay, Persian. It was used as a court language, official language of the Sultanate of Delhi. You know, we have already learned something about Sultanate of Delhi. You know, so it was their official language, or what we call as a court language. So this Persian became a part of the vocabulary of Indian languages. So right from the Delhi Sultanate, this Persian became languages, important languages, language of the Indians. Okay, so you know the sultans were the Turks, you know. So they introduced Arab and Persian tradition of historical writing in India. India, they don't have a proper writing of history, or what we call as historical writing. But after the Sultanate, they were highly educated, they were very advanced people in war, in science, and even in literature. So they brought the tradition of this writing historical history, in India. So right from the Turks, a proper historical record was started to maintained. All right, I'm sure you have understood, the Turk, the Sultanate especially. So let's see some of the literary works of this Persian during the Sultanate, or even during the medieval period. First one is Ziauddin Barani. Okay, the Tariq-e-Ferozahi. Okay, he wrote this book. It gives the detailed account of the reign of the Khaljis and also the Tughlaqs. Alright, and also this Ziauddin Barani, he wrote the political theory called, what is the name of that? Fatwa-e-Jahandari. It was a political theory. It was a book. Okay, books on politics. Amir Khusro, he was a very popular guy. He wrote Ashika, the New Sapir. Please try to familiarize with all this name. Okay, the Kiranal Sadayan. Let's repeat together. Kiranal Sadayan. Khazain al Fatu. Okay, these were some of the works of this Amir Khusro. He composed a number of bilingual quatrains and also verses in Hindi and Persian. It is said that this Amir Khusro, he was a person who started to use this Hindi in a proper, so to say, in a systematic way. Okay, he was a Persian. He was from Persia, Iran, and in India during the time of this Amir Khusro, Hindi started to use. Now today, the whole India is using this Hindi language as an official language in India, right? So it was brought by this Amir Khusro. Okay, after his works in grammar, as well as he brought bilingual quatrains and verses in Hindi and Persian. All right, let's go to another one. You might have heard Abul Fazl during the time of this Mughal in India. He wrote Ain-e-Akbari as well as Akbarnama, right? I think we have already learned something about this Abul Fazl, right? He was one of the 9 James of the court of Akbar, right? Even Babur, he wrote Baburnaama, which was an autobiography, a life story written by Babur himself. Okay, and there was another lady whose name was Gulbadan Begum. Please repeat again, Gulbadan Begum. She was the sister of Humayun. She wrote Humayun Nama. And even Jahangir, Tuzuk-e-Jahangiri was written by him. During the time of this Akbar's, not only Abul Fazl, he has so many literary person. Okay, so Hindi literature made a very significant progress during the time of this Akbar's reign. Okay, you might have heard Tulsidas, Keshav Das. They were great poets during the reign of this Akbar. Okay, this was how the Persian language and Hindi. So Hindi always have the roots of this Persian language. Okay, most of the vocabulary, most of the words that are used in Hindi even today, they have roots from Persia or Persian language. Let's go to Dravidian language. Dravidian language means South Indian language. Okay, first one is Kannada. Kannada is a language spoken in the state of Karnataka, Bangalore or Bangalore, you might have heard. Okay, so in Kannada literature during medieval period, Pampa, Pona, another one is Rana. They were considered as gems of Kannada literature. Let's repeat again. Pampa, Pona, and Rana. Okay, And in Tamil Nadu, Kamban, there is a literary guy whose name was Kamban. He wrote the Ramayanam, most probably Ramayana. Alright. Even in Telugu is a language spoken in Andhra and even Orissa. Okay. The translation of Mahabharata and Ramayana was done in this Telugu language. And even Krishna Deva Raya, okay, he was a king, okay, of South India. He was a writer too. And Malayalam is the language spoken in Kerala, is it not so? Okay, so this Bhasa, okay, Bhasa Kautiliam literature, it was very popular. So other regional languages, let us see. Kabir, he wrote his dohas in Bhojpuri. Okay, so it became a part of this Bhojpuri literature. Even Tulsidas, you might have heard, he wrote his Rama Charitnamas. No, should be Rama Charitnamas. Okay, I mean Rama Charitamanas. It was written in Awadhi language. And in Bengali, Ramayana, it was written by Kritivatsa. No, last time in the previous class when we studied this uh, religious reformation, bhakti cult, okay, Ram, he was worshipped very deeply by the Bengalis, you know. So Ramayana was translated or it was written by Kritivasa. And even Chaitanya, he wrote devotional songs. Writing of devotional songs began during this time. Okay, Anand Mangal from Bengal of Bharat Chandra is one of the best literary piece of Bengali literature. So let us try to remember all this. Gujarati, Narasi Mehta. Okay, he wrote a lot of devotional songs. Okay, even in Marathi, okay. Jana Neswar, he deal with the philosophy of the Bhagavad Gita, a sort of commentary, a sort of guidebook for this Bhagavad Gita. It was written by Jana Neswar, okay, in Marathi language. Marathi, it is spoken in the state of Maharashtra, isn't it? Assamia is the language of Assam. Jaraswati and Harihara Vipra, and even Sant, what is that? Bhata Deva. They were a very important literary persons. So I'm sure you should try to get familiar with all these names. Okay, these were the literary persons during the time of medieval India. If we come to Manipuri, even during medieval Manipur, Meidingu Charai Rongba, whose name was also known as Pamheiba, you know, he has so many literary person in his court. He was a king in Manipur, like Angom Gopi, Laisram Aroy, Yumnam Atibar, and Nungambam Gobindram. These people, after they embraced Hinduism in Manipur, they started to present a lot of literary works during the time of especially this Meidingu Charai Rongba, or what we call as Pamheiba. Okay, let's see the last but not the least. Delhi, during the time of this Delhi Sultanate, Brahms, Bhasa and Khari Boli, forms of Hindi, began to use in literary compositions. Okay, so the Hindi literature began during the time of Delhi Sultanate. Even the birth of Urdu, there were no Urdu language before, but it was so the birth of this Urdu language, it was born during the time of this Delhi Sultanate. So it became a part of a language. So great poets like Mir Dart, Mir Taki, Mir Narsi, Mir Nasir, okay, Akbaradadi. Let's repeat again. Mir Dart, Mir Taki, Mir Nasir, Akbarabadi. So these were some of the literary persons of this Urdu. Okay, for today, let's study only up to here. Let us continue in the next class. Please learn all the notes which I have sent you in your WhatsApp group from the study materials. Okay, and subscribe to my YouTube channel. May God bless you. Thank you so much for participating in this learning.